I would love to introduce the next line of speakers we have coming up. Julian Leitloff from idOS and Johan Bondioli from Pagoda, introducing decentralized identity solutions with the idOS.
Yeah, hey everyone. Glad to be here and thanks for listening in. I'm Julian Leitloff. I'm the co-founder of the idOS and Fractal, one of the building partners.
And I'm Johan. I'm project manager working for Pagoda on identity, trust, and safety.
So this talk is all going to be all about identity and introducing the idOS, actually going live today on NEAR with the identity operating system, which is the identity layer of Web3, which hopefully works a little bit better than my clicker here. So the idOS is trying to solve something that we've been talking about for quite some time. Decentralized identity is probably one of the first primitives that we talked about, probably as early as 8 years ago, 10 years ago. And for such an effort to really bring it into the ecosystem, we teamed up with a bunch of folks, specifically with NEAR, where it's going to debut today. We also have Quill, LF0, and Gnosis partnering up to build the idOS. What is the idOS? The idOS is two things. It's a decentralized storage, so a federated system of nodes that store identity data, and it's an access management protocol. So you can think of it as being an IPFS-style decentralized storage that is specifically made in a compliant way to host identity data and an access management protocol that users are actually in charge of their information and can give access to that identity throughout the ecosystem. So I already touched base on that we've been talking about identity for quite some time, right? And I mean, Vitalik is writing about it every 4 years, urging the whole industry to adopt and go to a native standard of how to manage identity, and we still haven't gotten there. And it's not for the lack of trying, right? Like we've seen many approaches of how to solve it. And if we're looking at the identity landscape today, it kind of seems like medieval Europe, where if you want to travel to your neighbor, you have to identify yourself again. And if we take this metaphor to an ecosystem, it's not just that identity can freely flow or users can freely flow across ecosystems. It's even from dApp to dApp that we have a problem where we keep on forgetting someone's identity and we need to ask for it again, and every dApp needs to build the whole thing again. And we don't think that this is great, and we do think that we need to have a solution to solve it, have a layer to actually make this work.
And so we welcome you all to the future of identity on the blockchain, where idOS and NEAR comes together like a peanut butter and jelly. That was my attempt to joke. But seriously, it's essentially a partnership that's been meticulously crafted to ensure that we respond to the needs of the founders and developers on NEAR. And it sets a standard of what identity should be looking like on Web3 going forward. So, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, can you go back a bit? Thank you. So like, imagine a world where your data is as fluid as your thought and as private as your diary, right? This is a world we've been dreaming about for years in the decentralized world. Right? And today, NEAR isn't just dreaming it. It's actually doing it, right? Today, we're not just introducing an identity layer. Today, we are taking the essence of identity and integrating with idOS into NEAR. Right? We are enabling our builders and developers with the possibility to create what they've been doing, innovating dApps, but also make sure that these dApps are compliant and self-sovereign. So I know it's a bit of a statement, perhaps for you, but for me, I truly believe that it's not just an announcement. Today, we are making history. NEAR becomes the first major blockchain ecosystem to integrate identity at its core. Right? I want you to think on that for a bit. And it's not just about the technology, right? It's about enabling a community and an ecosystem for widespread adoption going forward. So I am, as a use case, thrilled to announce that we are integrating idOS with NEAR.org today, right? And so this is a video that introduces how this is working out. If you want to go now to NEAR.org, on your profile, you can look on how you can create an account and how you can manage your credential easily, right? So this is the video that's going through. Right now, we went to the profile, and we are connecting to idOS. Here, the connection asks you to connect your wallet. If you do not have an idOS account or wallet connected to it, it would create one. Connects you to Fractal ID, and then create an account, connect your wallet, decide there's a bunch of wallets you can decide from. We went through a KYC process, so it requires you to provide a document. Here we choose to provide a national ID. It requires also proof of liveness, so you can put your face in the camera and get scanned. And more importantly, you need to set up your password to make sure that the data is private and owned by you, right? When this is done, you're going back to NEAR.org, where you can see, it can take a couple of minutes for it to be approved, but you can see that you've been approved, you have your credential, and you are verified. There will be a QR code at the end. You can test it out yourself, but this is already out there.
So the cool thing is that this is actually live, so you can go to near.org right now and really test it out. You then have a credential, right? And the question is, what do you do with this credential? And there are several use cases, and we are really keen to discover more that you guys might have in mind, because it is an open layer that you can build up on. So the first use case is to really enable DeFi, and DeFi that also touches people's everyday lives. Because whenever we're talking about, for example, having a debit card, opening up a bank account, identity is needed in a compliant way to just onboard. And we opted to build a native layer to actually enable users to hold their own data and to pass it on as they wish. Another application is proof of personhood, so making sure a person is really a person, or a person is a unique person and hasn't created like 10 or 20 different wallets already. NEAR is the ecosystem that has really early on focused on users. So user growth, applications that are actually helpful for real users out there. And it's, from my perspective, it's taking it a step forward, because we're going from users that are unique wallets, active wallets, to actually verified users. And this is specifically interesting, not just from the proof of personhood perspective, but also when you're talking about enabling real-world DeFi rails, where you go to NEAR and you would have 50,000, 500,000, 5 million people that are already verified, that with one click can onboard to even financially regulated applications. So, how does the idOS really work? If we're looking at the whole flow, a user comes, and we have seen that before, wants to put in data. They can just put in data that of their own choosing, but sometimes you want to have verified data, like for example KYC or proof of uniqueness, right? So they go to the identity provider, they get their data back, they encrypt it themselves, and they put that data package into the idOS. Then if a dApp or NEAR wants to request that data, they go to a node to request access, which is being forwarded to the user to actually consent to that process. So to grant an access request. The user then takes that data, decrypts it, encrypts it with the dApp's receiving public key, and uploads it into the idOS. And that's the cool part, so that in the future, the dApp can also go to the node to request the data even if the user's offline. The idOS is a data storage and access management protocol. But there are cool things that are on top, which is that you can actually add any type of data to it. You can add reputational data. You can add a social graph to it if you like. And you can build upon it because it's really a composable identity stack. So for example, imagine lots of dApps are using the idOS, and you, for example, want to build an analytic tool so that dApps finally can see what type of users they are actually using that app. Or you want to build an incentive system that works for real users and not just an army of bots. That's something that the idOS enables because it's permissionless. You can just build on top of it, and you can build with the idOS as a module. So I was talking a lot about how we have been, as an industry, thinking about decentralized identity, and I want to come back to it because you might be asking yourself, why in the world is the idOS now going to solve it, where others have failed in the past? And we think that we identified 5 different reasons for it, and there are some concepts that might be familiar to you, like a soulbound token, NFT type of identity solution, identity wallets, monolithic chains, and just regular decentralized storage. And one part that we see is compliance, because in the end, if you want to build an application, if you want to have a service, and you have a lawyer or in-house lawyer tell you that this doesn't work, for example, because there are data privacy issues that are standing in the way, the whole solution is just isn't feasible. This was important for us to solve. Permanent data availability. If you have an identity wallet and you go to a dApp, you have 2 choices as a dApp provider. You either download the data and you put it into your AWS Web2 databases, or you don't do anything with that data. But if you do the first step, then you have to build the onboarding flow again. You have to make sure that you maintain this content management or client relationship management system, and the data is growing stale. It's not chain agnostic. And for us, a very important point is it's not standalone and an end-to-end solution. So if you provide a solution that is an on-chain solution, but you don't provide the service to go with it, you can't really use it. That's what the idOS does different to other solutions out there. So, what is coming to the idOS in the next couple of months? We are going live today on NEAR. We are super excited about it and really thankful that you guys took the first step, because you always need to have an ecosystem that has a conviction here. Because, no one's really doing it, so do I need to make the first step? Do I really need to be the pioneer and fight like with the first implementation? Do I really have to have the effort of bringing this live? And NEAR said, yes, we really strongly believe in this. We believe in actual real-life use cases and user growth, and we are super excited for what's to come and what others are building with it. We also partnered up with Gnosis, for example, to give users the ability to have a self-custodial debit card. So even for highly regulated use cases, in this case in the UK and in Iceland, like a full bank provider. And we have LF0 that are adding a privacy layer on top of it. And this is even more important, we already have dApps integrating it. We have 14 different dApps that said, yes, this is interesting to us, that are right now integrating the idOS, so that you can not only create your identity on near.org, but you can also consume it for very different use cases. So all the way from proof of personhood, which is very light touch, where you just want to know if someone is a real person, not a bot, to highly regulated use cases.
Thanks. So what we've announced today is just the beginning. I think, honestly, the potential of idOS is vast, much more than what we just talked to you about. So I'm going to take a few minutes to talk to you and walk you through some of the use cases we've put together. Those are just concept, just to be clear, they're not live yet. On how you could use idOS going forward and how you could develop on using idOS. I want to say a special thank you to the design team working on this because I'm presenting, but I didn't build that at all. So it works when I don't speak. Yeah, there you go. Cool. So imagine something. You go to your favorite coffee shop and you get yourself a brew and you use your near debit card, no fuss, no muss, just like a smooth transaction, feels like magic, but it's not magic, it's idOS, right? idOS is enabling you to use your crypto in a real world, right? It's not just a concept, it's actually the future of what it could look like, right? So this is the example. Because we have already saved our data within your own account of idOS, you can just honestly just like link it, digitize here, and create, make that transaction. Right, second example, for those of you that are more like into sports, not me, but, and like to, like reward yourself after running with like a cup of coffee again, because I love coffee, you can do that, right? The concept would be you simply go in there, get your reward from Sweetcoin, and use that to just pay your coffee, right? This is not just like a design or concept or anything like that. This actually could be a reality. It could be, going forward, the future where you can just pay your coffee leveraging your own efforts and making sure that the transaction is secured through idOS. That's the video, I forgot, but yes, this is it. Right? Similar concept, using all the data that you saved on idOS and purchasing your coffee. And then finally, if you're more like me, you like to hustle using your task, and you want to use your rewards for like real life, or like transferring your money to a bank account and things like that. Same, very easy. You can simply log in using your idOS account, and then it's as easy as just clicking on withdraw, putting your IBAN, and transfer the money. So again, this is not just like a concept. This could be the future, and it's as easy as just like placing prey on this video.
While the designs that we just saw is something that we talked to the teams about, if we can show it as like a way to showcase how it can be used, but it's not live. The concepts behind it already work, because you can transfer that data to a recipient that is using it to onboard you even in compliant use cases, to, for example, with one click, add a different module that is even a financial use case. We are super thrilled to present the idOS here, because you guys are the ones that are building cool dApps, that are building cool modules, and we really want to get the community excited about it, because the idOS is the layer that you can use to build different applications on top of it and also improve. So for example, if you feel like a social type of login is missing here, or a recovery function, that's something that you can do because it's a permissionless stack. If you feel like you want to add an incentive system for users that are real humans to check out a different application, you can do it. If you want to build highly regulated modules that throughout the Near ecosystem, every dApp can just take to plug it in without having to worry about compliance, you can do that as well. So please check out the developer documentation. If you're curious as a user how it works, you also find the link here. Please give it a go. It's live today. And we still have a bunch of time to answer some questions.
Yep, if you have any question,
Would love to hear from you.
I think there's a mic coming for you.
Yeah, that's really interesting stuff. When you link, it looks like you link an idOS account to a Near wallet. Is that linkability visible on the blockchain? So you're effectively doxing that wallet in any way?
So the creation of the idOS account isn't visible. What is visible is if you're giving an access grant, this will show up in a smart contract that gives that access to another receiving address, which is the dApp's address. But it doesn't show what is being shared.
Okay, so the people who are granted the access will know that this wallet is linked to you, but the general public can't look at a blockchain and go, oh, that's your wallet, and then, you know.
Yeah, so the node providers know which address is linked to which ID, but they also don't know what's in that verifiable credential because it's encrypted by your public key.
You have a question? Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm amazed at the number of organizations that you were showing in that map. Just appalled. So I am not 100% sure if my question is really fair. You are probably aware of Bill Gates Foundation MOSIP system that's being used in parts of Asia and Africa. Do you have any plans to work with them, or you are not aware of it, which would be fair because there are incredibly many number of organizations and companies working on this?
We have plans to work with everyone, and we've been reaching out to a couple of builders in the space already. We've participated in the all hands and introduced the concept a month ago, roughly. But we do not know what you guys are building. So if you think that there might be a fit, we have a booth at the main venue where my colleagues are at. We'll also be outside, and if you think that there is something how we can help with the idOS, we would love to get this really embedded into the ecosystem, because that's also something to say. It's like, this is not the first time that a decentralized identity play was just implemented into any ecosystem. We've seen many of these, but those are all deserts, and it only lives, and that's the major difference, because it's really implemented at the heart of Near. But also because dApps are already starting to implement that. Because it needs to live, it needs to be used for it to be useful in the first place. Because a decentralized identity system that has no users or dApps using it is not useful at all.
Yeah, if I can add to this.
Thank you.
If you have, I think we're quite limited in what we think about at times. I came up with some use cases, and came up with others and our teams as well, but the reason why we're here as well is to gather this kind of example you mentioned. So,
Thanks.
thank you. Yeah.
Thanks. That was an amazing presentation. Just a quick
Thank you.
question regarding the organization. What's the relationship between the Fractal ID and idOS?
That's a good question. You want to take it?
Yeah, sure. So Fractal is one of the building partners of the idOS, and we've been pushing that in the beginning to make it work. But we are really building that together with Near, with Gnosis, with LF0 on the ecosystem side, but also, for example, with Quill, which is providing one of the fundamental decentralized data. So it's a SQL-based system layer. So it's really not just us, and this is what we want to also implement in the whole setup.
Okay, I'll just add this. So on the verification side, Fractal ID right now is verifying, but going forward there will be other entities that can verify. It wouldn't be just tied up to Fractal ID. Thank you for the question. Cool.
Cool. Yeah.
We will be outside if you have any other questions. Thank you so much for listening to us. Have a good day.